call this special session of the Commissioners to order. The purpose of our being here today is to meet with representatives from DLZ, the engineering firm that is handling the engineering on the Dollar General project for women's work release facility. And I'm going to hand this meeting off to Mr. William Stark. And William will lead us through the areas of interest that they want to discuss today. So, William.
Thank you, Dale. Start off with, I'd like to go on and talk about the floor plan. We've had a few changes since you've last seen it. We have managed to get an extra bed into the work release area. So that brings that total up to 20, excuse me, extra 2 beds and extra bunk into the work release area, so that gets up to 20. We've had numerous discussions with a number of consultants about the jail, and in order to kind of protect the budget to make sure that the project can go forward as we intend, we have altered our design a little bit. In the northeast portion of the building, we have the 2 pods from before. The south part of that pod, or what I'm calling the south pod, will be, for now, as base bid, a program space, and the upper part of that pod will be a 10-bed dormitory space.
If I could just interrupt briefly.
Yes.
I know when we last met, we had a Zoom meeting, I believe it was on March the 8th, where we kind of went through a lot of the same discussions. And on the handout that was provided to you, there's an agenda there. And on that agenda are some of the proposed alternate bid items. Most of those we talked about previously, and this is what William was talking about. But just to re-emphasize that we're doing this in an effort to what we call protect the base bid. So that when we receive bids, we're going to show you a plan here in just a moment, that are alternate bids. So on the bid form, a contractor is going to submit a price to do the alternate bid, which, William, can you advance the slide there?
Yes.
So this is the alternate bid for the northeast quadrant. So there's the holding cells that you all previously saw. And this is the alternate bid then for what's immediately south of that program classroom. We do that to protect the base bid because we don't want to come in over budget. We'd rather have the opportunity for you to approve adding to the scope to incorporate these items. Does that make sense?
As part of going back to the base bid, as part of the base bid, we would also, one alternate is to have actual padding in this holding cell here. We understand you need a padded cell, but to protect the base bid, we are kind of going to make that an add alternate as well. You will still get a holding cell down here that can house 2, with the access to the toilet and shower space over here. That would allow you to still have holding cell, but would also be able to be retrofitted into a padded cell in the future. That is this floor plan up here.
So that's the alternate plan, just showing where we added the door back in, and we actually had the padded holding. And again, it's just to provide you with flexibility on bid day to approve however much money you want to spend.
Yeah, this is all an attempt to protect the base bid and give you as much flexibility as Scott just said.
Let's go back to the base bid. Let's point out, I know Michelle
Sure.
previously in the work release, you commented on the washer and dryer wanting to limit access.
Let me see if I can zoom in on that spot.
Sure. So just for orientation, this is the control. We previously had the interlock here. We moved the interlock up here between the a work release day room and a secure side of the jail. Then we incorporated washer and dryer right here. Our concept is, when you see this little blue dash line there, it's an overhead coiling door or grill where it could be shut. And our only real question for you is whether or not you prefer that to be manual or motorized. Motorized, manual.
Manual.
Yeah. But that way you can pull it down, you know, whenever you want, lock it. Okay. Are there any questions regarding the layout or configuration? You all have the 11 by 17s of the same. Just to quickly review the alternate bids items, most of these we've already talked about either today or in the past, but we're going to do an allowance to make the necessary roof repairs, but we'll get an alternate bid just to replace the entire roof. Remove the entire floor slab and replace with a new slab. Can you go back to the base bid drawing? So as you all know, there's an existing concrete slab in that area. As you would imagine, a jail facility, there's extensive plumbing. Sanitary plumbing is ran under the slab. So the existing slab is going to be significant saw cutting, patching to put in the necessary sanitary piping. So that's the base bid scope of work. And then we're taking an alternate, two alternates related to that. One is to come in and put a stain and sealer over the floor, kind of dress it up maybe a little bit. You don't have to accept it on bid day if you don't want to. But in talking with a local contractor in southeast Indiana, he suggested that it may be more cost effective for contractors just to take out the entire slab in its entirety, do their under slab piping for the sanitary, and then come in with an entirely new slab. So we're going to put that as an alternate. The contractors choose to, if they prefer to do it that way, then they'll have the opportunity to do that. We also have back alley canopy. So right over the door, this is the, sorry, I'm cursing being short. That alley is up here. There's the back door that goes over to the jail. So we have a canopy over that door there as an alternate bid. Then we also have fencing, the ramp as an alternate too, as well. So there's an alternate bid for that ramp to put fence around it. There's a gate down there at the bottom. Stained sealed concrete, I already spoke about. William Stark spoke of the stained sealed concrete. We've already talked about the padding at the padded cell, and we've already spoke of the northeast and southeast pond alternates. So those are the alternates that we're currently considering. So on the bid form, contractor will be required to submit a price for each one of those. And we can decide then depending on how the bids come. Any questions regarding the layout or configuration or anything we've presented thus far?
Why is there a ramp at the back?
Because the finished floor elevation of this area right here, it's about that high above the grade in the alley. So typically in a correctional environment, you really want to avoid steps. It's just a liability. Somebody could be shackled or handcuffed, and that's kind of a tripping hazard. So typically we always try to avoid steps in jail facilities. So that's the only reason for the ramp.
Food carts.
What percentage of the current floor plan, what percentage of the slab would have to be sawed out and removed in order to place the necessary plumbing?
Yeah, I don't know that off the top of my head. I'm smiling because we have a drawing pinned up in our office on the marker board where we've actually gone through and highlighted and identified the areas.
We had our structural mechanical engineers come through, and I asked them to highlight where they think would be removed, and it
If I had to
40+%.
I was going to say somewhere between 30, 35, 40%, somewhere in there. But it's kind of all over because, for example, we have a bank of plumbing right here then we have our bank of plumbing here, we gotta get sanitary to our washing machine. We have plumbing here, some minimal plumbing here, and of course right here. And then with the alternate beds, there's plumbing here, and there's even more plumbing right along that wall. So it's kind of all over. I wish it was just isolated to one corner.
That would
That
make
would be a
it,
no-brainer.
yeah, that would make it a lot simpler, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, and the sanitary plumbing, where will it leave the perimeter of the building? On the west side?
You know, off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head, I don't have an answer for that. I can talk to our plumbing engineer when we get back, and I can let you know that.
Okay.
So we're, the one cell block where it was actually cells, we're going to get rid of?
The one in the top right-hand corner?
Yeah. Because it looks
Yeah.
like all, from this diagram, they're all sort of a day room.
Yeah, turn the page.
Progress these past the.
Yeah. So is this the one you're referring to?
This here, I'm just going like this. Is this
Yeah.
what it's going to look like?
Well, this is base bed. This is the alternate bed we're going to take for this housing pod right here.
So base bid, we're looking at 34 inmate beds. We have 41 females right now, so the base bid's just not going to do it. I think that's just my opinion. I'm not the one paying for it.
And then, William, can you turn to the next page?
I sure can.
And then, we're taking an alternate bed here, which also adds beds. That'll add 2, 4, 6, 8 additional, if we're able to do
That's the
both of those.
thing, is the bid. And the whole idea was to get the females out of the current jail.
And we're pushing 40 is our normal. Today's 41. It could be 50 tomorrow. You never know. So to do this and not have enough beds for our female inmates, that's sort of the point, I thought.
So, William, what's the total bed count, both alternates?
Both alternates are accepted, so it's 24 on the left. There'll be, if we do base bid, dorm on the right, and another dorm in the bottom, that'd be 42. If we do cells at the top and dorm at the bottom, that would be 40.
They have to have sales. There's no way around that.
Plus the holding, I don't know if we can add the holding cell to that, so that'd be another 2. So 42 or 44. So
I don't think the jail inspector counts holding cells as actual beds.
No, they didn't.
They do.
Just count everything, the detox and padded living. Those are the two stipulations.
There's no way for us to know how much more money we're talking about until that day, bidding day, right?
That's correct.
that's right.
So
And-
we just need to hope for us to be able to come up with or have the money.
And I know that when we last had a presentation on March the 8th, there was a lot of conversation regarding the budget and the cost estimate. And again, I just want to make sure that we're prepared the best that we can, given the economy that we're in right now. That's why we're proposing these alternates, and we're taking as many safeguards as we can to give you the flexibility, not knowing how the bids will come.
Okay, now we started out with 62 beds total, right?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
62 beds was including the work release,
Okay.
which
Now with these changes you're suggesting in the floor plan, does that change the number, does that change the bed count?
If William's correct, the 60, what'd you say, 62?
62?
62 included the work release with the alternates would be right at 62 or 64.
Yeah.
Because there's 20 in work release.
yeah, we managed to squeeze in two more beds in the work release.
Okay. Now, Michelle, it was my understanding that we were looking at being able to either expand or contract the more secure cells for regular female inmates to accommodate, the unexpected spikes in the population. Now, if you see anything in this floor plan that gets in the way of that, you speak up and say so. 'Cause we need to we need to be able to adjust our capacity, or more secure capacity, as needed, if I understand things right. Is that in line with what you thought the direction we were going in the beginning?
Yeah, yes, but like I know I get the whole thing about the alternate bids and coming in on the base bid, but without that block for the jail, I think it defeats the purpose.
When you say the block, meaning the holding cell concept in the northeast.
No, that one where it's got a classroom and then the alternate bid is to finish it out. I don't think that's a if. I think that's a must.
Right now, we have to use that because we're quarantining people for 7 days when they come in because of COVID. You don't know if something like that's gonna happen again where you have to quarantine and you can't put them in a dorm style setting when you're trying to quarantine people, so.
Yeah, okay.
I'm with you, it makes it tough.
So the combination of the base bid, the combination of the alternate bids, Dale, I just confirmed that the total maximum counting the work release, which the previous order did too, is 62.
62?
62,
Okay.
counting the work release. There's 20 beds there. Any other comments or conversations regarding the floor plans, layout?
I don't have anything right this minute.
Okay.
Tracy, or you, Dale, have anything? Okay.
No, it just sounds like we need to do our best, come up with the money, because we want it to be what we need, so I understand that.
Oh, yeah. Pray for good results on
Yeah,
that day.
right. Do we have any idea when that will be? That's kind of a thought I'm having of the time frame here.
Okay, so excellent segue, thank you for that. The commissioners, I think the last week or two, approved the agreement with Seed Surveying, and I know that was forwarded to them just fairly recently. And I think in their agreement, it said 30 days, I believe, to complete the work, and then up to 10 days to actually document it and get it to us. With that, so let me set that aside for a moment. You can see these drawings are looking a little more kind of finished, more like a blueprint would. We are very close, internally PLZ, close to finishing. We have our QC, quality control, it's just an internal process where we go through and pour over the documents, looking for quality issues, set for April the 8th. And then we're kind of in a holding pattern until we get the survey results back. Once we get the survey results back, our civil group will have to make any final adjustments, like for example, the small sidewalk replacement out front where the new door is going to be and the handicap ramp, and then also the ramp there at the back. So we have to respond, we have to wait until we get that survey information. And then once we have the survey, then we have to go in front of the Board of Public Works to get approval to formally vacate the alley. So I say that because currently we're anticipating, hopefully, once we get the survey information, probably doing all that I just mentioned sometime in May. Maybe then we have to come back to you all to formally get approval to send the documents out for the bidding phase, which I would say sometime is going to be end of May, beginning of June-ish. And then we'll probably receive bids end of June or beginning of July. But that's kind of the time frame that we're on. We're going to be finishing our documents here in just the next couple of weeks. then we're going to shelve it until we get the survey information, and then we'll finish. So can we segue to maybe something hopefully fun? Colors and finishes.
No padded cell, no cells, yeah. Hopefully we can.
All right. So in your packet, you'll see some 11x17, color 11x17s. And what we did was we tried to make it easy, because reviewing finishes can be a little confusing. You see a color floor plan, it kind of looks like that. So you can see it up there on the screen also. We have a legend off to the side. So let me just kind of start off, and William's going to help me present this.
Yeah.
But just so that everyone can kind of get this in their head. So the main entry vestibule is right here, and you come into a lobby area, and then the work release kind of administration area is right here. There's an office here, a little break room, a staff toilet right off of that area. This area, brown area, is a mechanical room. It's accessible from the exterior. From the lobby area, then there's a public restroom or participant restroom located right here. Female locker room. Then they would come back out and go into the day room for the work release. This is the sleeping area. These are the toilet rooms, showers. This is the washer and dryer we spoke about earlier. And this is control. I say that because technically speaking, there's a line right through, an imaginary line, right through here. This is technically non-secure, technically. And everything above that is the jail. So that's where it's secure. So I say that because if you look at the legend, for example, I'm going to kind of walk you right in the main entry vestibule. You'll see that the darker gray, so you come over to the legend, and you see it's a walk-off carpet tile. This is what we would propose and suggest for the main entry vestibule. It's rough. In fact, we've had this in our past two offices in our main entry vestibule area. But it's obviously to get kind of the dirt and that kind of stuff off your feet as you're walking in.
Is it moppable?
No, it's sweepable.
Or we have now?
You currently have like a VCT and then mat on top of it.
This is good stuff.
It's carpet laid on the floor and it's moppable. And you've actually, because they come in, they won't wipe their feet
Yeah.
like normal people. There's grease, footprints of grease.
Right.
And we can go out there with a mop and mop it up.
And carpet?
Come over and look at it.
Okay. Yeah. Is it available right after this? Can you look at it?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
You guys got it?
So that's the main entry vestibule. In the lobby, again, you'll see it's kind of that light blue. If you look over to your legend, and you'll see it's vinyl composition tile. So these are the colors that we would suggest. It's kind of a light bluish gray and kind of a brownish gray color. This is the field color. And when we say field color, that's the majority of what you're going to see. Then we do a random accent with this color. And when we get more into the colors and finishes, I think you'll understand why we're suggesting those two colors. Kind of color coordinates throughout the entire building. So anywhere that you see that light blue, so again, that would be the lobby space, the public or participant toilet, the workroom, staff toilet room, then this little corridor, the staff break room, would be a standard 12 by 12 vinyl composition tile that Woody was passing around. The office area, and again, there's one office, there's one room that we would suggest carpet, and it's the work release.
No. Carpet's going to go in the work
you're right.
release and
You're right. So in the office and then also in the work release area.
and the control area.
And we know that you currently have carpet in the men's work release facility.
It'll mainly help kill some sound because you're in there and you're trying to sleep. You don't want to be constantly woken up.
So it's in this office area, the work release, day room, sleeping area, and master control. The dark, when you see the dark dashed line around the perimeter of the walls, that's indicating rubber base. You've all probably seen it 1,000 times, but you can see why then we selected some of the colors. You're beginning to pull some of the palette together. So this is the resilient base color, and what we're suggesting throughout the facility, that this would be the field color. And again, the field color for walls, just like I mentioned on the final composition floor, this is what you're going to see the majority of. And then do the hollow metal doors and frames would be in this color. So literally, in the non-secure side, you're going to have a standard hollow metal frame, door frame. We're suggesting wood doors, where you see the red dots. But then also back here on the secure side, you're going to have what we refer to as detention hollow metal. It's doors and frames. So that would be painted the same accent color with this as the field color. Did I get that right, William?
Yes.
You'll notice in the front administration area, you'll see that black kind of dashed line around the perimeter indicating where we would use resilient base. We don't use this in a jail because they'll rip it off in just a couple of days. So what we typically do is the bottom course of concrete block just above the floor, we paint it the same as the accent color, and just put a little base along the bottom course of the concrete block just to give it implied. The base kind of dresses it up. So you can see that that's how it would all go together from color standpoint. You heard me say a moment ago, wood doors. Where you see the red dots, again, it's isolated at this location right here, just using wood door, suggesting wood door stained to this color. The blue dot is an aluminum door. Again, you've seen it a million times too. But this is the suggested wood stained color for the main for entry for work release. I'm going to come back to the ceilings in a moment. So that predominantly takes care of the finishes in this area. The tan is the sealed concrete. Base bid is going to be patched concrete unless we take one of the alternates to either stain it, seal it, or replace it in its entirety. And then that alternate to stain and seal, we can also add on top of that. So there's a couple different options we can get. But regardless, the tan area is a... Yeah. So the tan area for the sealed concrete for the stain color is that kind of taupish brown color. So everywhere you see that tan there, that's that outline bid color for the concrete stain seal. Where you see the pink, it's what we call a seamless shower coating. This is what we would suggest. There's a couple different manufacturers. This is Deco Floor. Prime Coat is another one that we would specify. And again, I say that because we don't sole source products. We want to promote competitive bidding. So this is just one of two, but you can see that that's what we suggest for the seamless shower coating. Showers in correctional facilities that Canopy. So again, you'll see that over here in the this toilet room, where you see the paint for the shower. There it is.
I got one question. When you kept referring to the work release is non-secure,
Yeah.
and then I look at this door and it's wood. The door going into the block to bring them in, is that a wooden door and non-secure?
It should, in reality, Michelle, I would suggest that that be a hollow door.
Well, I believe that we talked about it needs to be secure in case you ever did have to move inmates,
Correct.
jail inmates in there. We want it secure. we surely don't want a wooden door that they'll
Yeah.
pick through.
Is there a reason it's not secure because of the non-interlock door, or is that a problem?
So that's one reason why we moved the interlock. We previously had, okay, so just to clarify, what constitutes a secure perimeter, according to the Indiana State Jail standards, you have to have 2 exits to the outside. So if this area was ever converted to jail housing, we previously had the interlock right here. What we would suggest is put the dual doors up here, and perhaps that one could just go away or be eliminated. This opening right here. And then there's some minimal work that would have to be done, and Michelle, you're right, we had talked about building this to the Indiana State Jail standards. But for example, lockers, in the work release area, you'd probably take these out if this was ever converted to a jail. I mean, there's some minimal work you would have to do. The washers and dryers you'd probably take out, but Michelle's right that we had talked about building that so you could retrofit it, for jail inmates.
Say the female population's down for them, but for us it spikes. It may not be a bad idea to be able to put some of our females in the work release centers, so to have it as a secure facility would be ideal. If you get rid of that door there, is that going to be a fire issue because there's only one exit, or if you got rid of this one?
Depends on the bed count. If you keep the bed count above 10, yes, you have to have. If there's 10 or more, you have to have 2 means of egress.
So that's all we have 2 here. So there's not going to be an interlock in between here in case.
Not, yeah.
Okay.
And you can see, you're sharp. So you can see these 2 housing areas right here. There's 12 beds and 12 beds. You heard me say if there's 10 or more, you have to have 2 means of egress. And you're allowed to intervene through one intermediate space to get to a passage. So there's our second means of egress, and it serves both. But on the other side, our bed count is not 10 or more in either case, so we don't have to have second means of egress.
I think the whole building needs to be secure. Dual use.
And when you say that, I mean, with the exception of like the administration lobby.
Right.
But
Right.
The work release in the jail housing area.
Right, and no wooden door there.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. William, did I forget any finishes? We're going to hold ceilings for just a moment.
We have materials for the casework and the. You want to talk about casework and the?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. We have materials here for the casework and for the solid surface countertops that will be in both the staff lounge, or the staff break room, and the work release day room. So it'd be a kind of gray kind of stone with a solid surface, but with a
Plastic
laminate thing. Plastic laminate casework. So.
And I don't know where the wood sample, oh, it's right here. So if you hold these together, you'll see the wood laminates are very similar. And that's the intent. So when you get then to the jail side, again, we have the concrete, same concept regarding base bed, the multiple alternate bed options. And then we're using the same seamless shower coating, pink shower areas. And then we currently have the same walk-off mat at the back entry, which we can go over and look at what is current at the work release. And then we're using the same paint colors, paint color schemes we spoke about. This is all your painted hollow metal doors, frames, and then this is the field color.
Professional interview room.
What's that?
You want to talk about the professional interview room?
Sure. Yeah.
So before, when we were here last time, you guys talked about wanting to have, we have a visitation and a /professional visitation room to kind of help deaden the sound, make it a little less echoey, we would propose a Tectum wall panel to kind of go around 3 sides. That's what the little red line is for around there. And this is just, you know, a sound absorption panel that you can find just about anywhere. I know my high school used them in the rehearsal, in the practice rooms and stuff. But
So, I gotta tell you a story. I'm gonna pass that around. Internally, we call that shredded wheat, because it kind of looks like shredded wheat cereal.
It does look like shredded wheat.
Yeah, it's frosted even.
Yeah, frosted.
So then if you turn the page in your drawing set, you'll see the ultimate bid floor plans. We're just gonna go there. And again, the color schemes are the same. The brown is the concrete, sealed concrete or the stain. Pink is the same seamless shower coating area. Really the only difference is, and for those of you that maybe never been in a jail, but this is what we refer to as the padding. It gets applied to the walls, the doors, and then so that people can't hurt themselves. But that's what's indicated there in that yellow drawing.
Can you peel it apart?
You can. Well, okay, so the trick is to eliminate seams, because that's where it is. And a lot of people get put into padded holding to have mental health type behavioral management issues. So they sit there and pick. You can, over time, and you will eventually have to repair it. I'm sure you've had to at your existing jail also.
Yes, several times.
There's 2 major manufacturers. One is Marathon. They're actually based out of Marathon, Florida. Prime Coat is another manufacturer. I don't know if that's Marathon or
this is Marathon.
yeah. There's another manufacturer called Prime Coat that makes a very quality product. And I don't know who you're using to repair.
Someplace out of Indianapolis, I'm not.
I'm smiling when you say that because I just recently forwarded contact information to an individual in Indianapolis that I've heard is very cost effective and good. I was going to pass that on. It's probably the same contact. Then if you turn the page, you will see a colored reflected ceiling plan. I'm going to, Ray, can you zoom into the legend real quick?
Yes, just 1 second. Not used to using Adobe. God, I use it.
So, I'm just going to briefly walk you through this. But when you see a hatch pattern like that on the very top, and you'll see this down through here, it's just a standard 2x2 acoustic panel ceiling, just like you're looking at here. Very common in commercial applications. And then the remainder of this stipple, whether it be the green, the brownish, or the gray, it's all a gypsum board finish. So it's a hard painted drywall finish. The difference between those is the green is a moisture resistant, so we're using that where there's in a wet environment, toilet room, shower areas, that type of thing. And then the brown is the same, but it has security mesh. What that is, it's a high impact gypsum board, then behind it is a woven security mesh. We do this all the time. It'll get fastened to a suspended gypsum or joist system, and then the drywall gets fastened to the bottom, then that's painted. So that's what we do for our security ceiling. And then the gray area here, and it's limited to the corridors, that is a 1-hour fire rated corridor. We have to have that by code, but it's still a drywall application that's painted. So the only other ceiling, I say ceiling type, is, it's not really a ceiling, but it's exposed structure. So if you were to walk over there now, Dale, thank you for some of the ceilings have been removed. You can actually see the bottom of the roof deck. You can see some of the bar joists. We've just simply not put a ceiling in those areas. So that's what we mean by exposed. when you see these types of legends right here, that's mechanical, electrical, ductwork, supply, return, air, exhaust, those types of things. And then we also have light fixtures shown in here so you can begin to get a sense of where those would be located. Access panels, and then when you see something that looks like this, and we'll point those out, those are skylights. We are required to meet a certain light level as far as natural light. We don't have to provide a view, but we have to provide natural light. So if you zoom out to the finishes there, again, where you see the green areas, those are limited to the high humid, wet type environments, toilet room, showers, areas like that, with the painted gypsum board. The brown is the security ceiling where we have the security mesh behind the high impact jet. And then the gray down the corridor is the 1 hour fire rated ceiling. And then you can see the 2x2, just a standard acoustical panel ceiling tile playing in a suspension grid for 2x2. Is what you're seeing predominantly down the southeast quadrant. There'd be no ceiling here or here. This is mechanical and mechanical. And it would be painted. Anywhere you see the drywall ceiling, so it's the brown, the gray, or the green, that would be painted just an off-white color, which is typical. What did I forget, William?
As far as I know, we do have a locker sample there in case you want to see what kind of locker color we chose. It's a simple black.
We were suggesting black. And as part of your packet, and I don't know if you have the stomach to actually flip through all those pages, but those are typical equipment furnishings that we would suggest that are included as part of the base bid suite. William, can you zoom in just a little tighter?
Sure.
Plane, for example. I just want to point out, these are the skylights that I was referring to earlier. So, this is based.
Sorry.
The program classroom that you need for a skylight, you don't have to have it. But you'll see in the alternate ceiling plan, we've added a skylight there as part of that building. So that's part of that cost that we're receiving.
Technically, we wouldn't need one at the work release, but if you want to make sure, if you want to have it available for secure and moving people in and out, we need to have them then.
Yeah.
The only other thing I have on my list over there is the highlight walls. We would probably paint around about one wall per room, a highlight color. We could either use both of those colors or just one of them. So.
You can begin to see some of the color palette, some of the different colors we've, for example, in the office, paint, an accent, wall. I mean, paint is paint. Doesn't cost any more, any less if you change the color. So we would provide a few accents in the facility. Any questions regarding interior finishes? Do you have the exterior elevation?
I'll close some of these. Oh, here we go.
So this is where the existing storefront opening area is. And there's that awning over there that's going to come off. We're going to move the entry over to this location. There's a window there with some awning canopy areas. But this area right here, we have to infill where that kind of dives back in where the current main entry is. And what we are suggesting, sorry, I'll move around here in just a moment, is that this is a ground face concrete block. We use that as the base material. You see the lower portion there in the gray. We're infilling that area. And then using a brick very similar to this, so it'd be that kind of a relationship as far as that bump out that you see there. It says Fayette County, Line Exit Work Release. Now, when we were over there prior to this meeing, we took some photographs. The the existing brick has some variation to it. And we'd like to find one just a little more red. We're gonna see if we can find one, because the existing brick, there's a little bit brown, a little bit orange, a little bit reddish. We're trying to find one that's a little closer to the reddish brown to pull that out as an accent. That's the concept, right that area.
I don't know if you want me to carry this over. You
No,
wouldn't
it's
want to
fine.
touch.
So, looking, are there any questions regarding finishes, other than Michelle will come over and look at that area? Any other questions?
Scott, that ground concrete block, does it have a glazed finish on it?
Yes, it does. Yeah. We internally have a no-no using split face, and you've all seen the split face. It gets to look pretty dirty over time, really quickly. And using the ground face, where it has that sheen to it, it stays cleaner, looks better, longer.
And it doesn't degrade near as easy.
Right. It has that smooth, slick, if not porous, to absorb the water and the salts.
Right.
I have a question on the lockers.
Yeah.
Are they full length?
They are, they're full height, and they're 12 by 18.
Like, the outside locker room and the ones inside are the same size?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a quick question. I just noticed that there's not a skylight in the area that we're gonna put the alternate bid in for the cell blocks. If we aren't able to afford making that into a cell style system, would we be able to put a skylight and maybe a restroom, and that way if we do have an overflow, we could put bunks in there? Is that something that's feasible? If we can't afford them.
Yeah. Do you understand what he's asking?
I do. So essentially, what you're asking is that,
Can you go to floor plan?
let me pull up a floor plan here real quick.
We can do that.
Essentially.
If I may want to do that as another alternate bid.
Is that jail standards? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, here we go. So essentially what you're asking is that if we could put a skylight in here and have probably a toilet, what would you say, probably an ADA toilet and a shower up here in this corner?
Probably. And that's a good point. And again, it all comes down to the budget, but it's an awesome idea. But again, that provides you the flexibility that, let's say that you can't afford to do the full build out of this alternate, but maybe for a fraction of that cost, you might be able to afford putting in stainless steel combi unit, ADA shower, where you could use this for overflow if you needed to. Whether that be closet or boats, but you could use it for overflow.
Do you have any idea like how much finishing out that area would be?
Of that particular area?
Yeah, like finishing out the way into dorm style.
I really don't, other than I can tell you that, you familiar with Poly Jail? They're,
sort of piece them together.
well, Poly Jail, they are a detention equipment contractor, very well known here in the Midwest. They're a regional detention equipment contractor, very good at what they do. But anyway, I had a meeting with them prior to March 8th, I know, because we both went and had a sit down with Jared Bailey, because a lot of the scope that we're talking about here is going to involve a detention equipment contractor. So I want to go talk to somebody, get their input. When we started looking at costs for the various elements and the day room areas, that's when we said, you know, with what's going on with the COVID and the manufacturing and staffing shortages, and that was even, I think, prior, when we met with them, that was prior to Ukraine going on, and the oil prices and stuff, so I don't really know, Michelle, other than we think we're pushing the budget with the base bid scope.
I know it, is it in the like hundreds of thousands?
Yes.
Or,
Yeah, we're not talking 20, 30,000 to finish out with these day rooms. We're very likely talking 6 figures. And The alternate for the very top northeast one, where there's the holding cells, that's gonna be the most expensive. Yeah, there's more there. And on bid day, who knows? We could get bids, and I'm just picking a number. You know, it may come in for the base bid scope of work at $2.2 million. We're all high-fiving each other, and, you know, the commissioners are, you know, looking at this and saying, yeah, we can accept that alternate as a priority, we can accept that alternate as a priority. But just in case, there's a safety valve there. No, that's a good idea. So if that's okay with you, we can accommodate that for potential overflow.
Sounds like a good idea to me. I share the view of Michelle and Deputy Jones that we have to be prepared for spikes in the population. If we can't absorb it here, we would have to absorb it in the current jail. And I don't, Zach, if once we get female inmates into this facility, do you guys have a plan for the leftover space that they're currently occupying at the jail?
Yeah, we have a plan. We're just going to start moving people that are in overcrowded blocks into those blocks, and we're at 159 today. So you get rid of our 40 females, that still puts us over capacity, but at least it spreads them out a little more.
Okay, so your basic intent is to just reduce the what's the word I'm looking for?
Excess, overcrowding?
Yeah, just there just won't be as many people in the blocks. It'll be spread out over more blocks space.
Yeah, our biggest block its capacity is 20, and we currently have 30 in all those blocks. So guys are sleeping on the floor, and this will just give them a place to sleep until it gets filled back up again, because it's going to. But it will give us a little bit of relief. And when you got 30 guys in one small confined space, it makes things a lot tougher on the jail staff. So you spread them out, it calms the situation down most of the time.
Really, we shouldn't rule out the possibility of having to use, during times of spikes. Shouldn't rule out the possibility of having to use cots or mats on the floor in this facility.
Yeah. We got plenty of boats that Joe Lisa got a grant. We got plenty of those to put people on the floor where they're actually off of the ground, so that helps us out.
Yeah.
So, can you scoot over so we can see that?
So we can see what? I'm sorry.
Can you scoot this over so we can see all of this room? So, we will need to run the calculations as far as the amount of unencumbered square feet each inmate gets by the United States Jail Standard. Point being is, I think that we need to, if we can, the Indiana State Jail Standard, their plumbing requirement for females is if you have 8 or more, you have to have another combi unit, another toilet and a sink. Every 8 or more. Showers is still 1 to 12. So point being is, when we run those calculations, I think that we need to accommodate that and maximize the space as much as we can. In other words, if we can fit 8 or 9 or 10 in there based on the calculation of the unencumbered square feet, we will add the toilet so that you can do that, for example. Makes sense. And we'll do the same for the shower, but it's all going to come down to a mathematical equation.
The ultimate goal is the cell style in that spot there. That's the ultimate goal, in my opinion. But if we can't afford that, just no flow.
Now, Do you have the alternate plan?
I can pull up the ultimate plan, yes.
Because this right here, this is the north.
Oh, really?
Give me a
This
second. I'll
is the
zoom in.
program classroom build out right here.
I'll zoom in for you.
So this right here is the north with the cell. And the one below that is still the day room where it deals you eat that. So.
Okay, Zach, do you and Michelle agree that it would be best to be able to dual purpose the program area? Is that what you're leaning toward?
On the base bid, I think we both agree we don't need the classroom area, but if it comes down to that, it needs to be able to use as an overflow for dual purpose. You know, hope is that there is no classroom,
Yeah.
that's a block.
To go back to the original drawing that you guys made, that would be nice. That's the ultimate, but if we can't afford that.
So, and I'm building on your idea, so I'm stealing your idea here. If we accommodate another alternate where we're able to accommodate, additional toilet, shower, sink in this area, we'll maximize it where you could use this for overflow. I would like to go ahead and build that to where even if you can't afford to do the build out, for the alternate here, that we just had up there on the screen, but those toilet and showers will remain. In other words, you can do it 5 years from now, 6 years from now. And those toilet and shower areas that you're paying for now would still be applicable. Make sense? We're not tearing it out and redoing it. We'll look at that and see if we can accommodate that. But the toilet and shower areas up there, that would be another alternate bid we can add to the list. Any other questions on anything we've presented or discussed?
I have one and I know it's way down the road, but the washer and dryer that go in there. When they built the current facility, they had one that used like a credit card type thing that we went and turned it on for them. That was nothing but a big hassle, and I want the stackable coin option.
So, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes, sir.
but I believe that we currently have that as owner furnished, owner installed. In other words,
That's fine.
The way I like to explain it, what we refer to as FF&E or loose equipment, is when this building is completely done, I can physically pick that building up and turn it upside down and shake it. Anything that falls out, a lot of times that's owner provided because it's loose furnishings. Could be microwave, could be coffee pot, could be computers, could be telephones, could be washer and dryer type stuff. And that stuff is typically not included in a project like this because you're going to pay more for it, where you could just go to Lowe's and buy a lot of the stuff yourself and plug it in. All right, so if you look at the agenda, I think we've talked about a lot of this. So we've talked about the architectural floor plans. We just spoke of, we've been over the proposed alternate bid items, which we'll add to one. We just talked about. We've talked about interior and exterior finishes. We've talked about survey and vacating the alley. We've talked about the schedule as it relates to that. I'm going to come back to the cut sheets of typical equipment here in a moment. If you recall, we gave you all some homework last time. It was fun homework, I hope. But it's the name. Do we put any kind of name on this building? And if so, what makes sense?
I did my homework. Did anybody else do it?
Get Bill started.
I kept thinking of, and this would be something for you guys really to know if you like it or not, because I feel like Fayette County needs to be on there, like you have.
Yeah.
But then Women's Work Release and Detention Center, does that cover it? I kind of felt like it does, but I like that. I didn't know.
I really have no preference.
Well, I just like the work release first. It's the positive, right? I mean, we could have made it like the gel, but it's, I don't know, it's more feminine, I guess, in my view.
So I wrote this down, I just want to make sure Fayette County Women's Work Release and Detention Center.
And you can use your little "and" sign
Right.
like that.
Sounds good.
I liked it.
Man, I thought that was going to be the toughest.
I don't-
It's like
I
a
was
jewel. That's what I get for doing my homework.
Yeah.
Then, when we had our March 8th Zoom meeting, we were talking about keying for builder's hardware, standard commercial hardware, about talking about the detention hardware. And we were talking about desk cores, and we were talking about like $15 a key or something like that. So what you have is the very highest security level of a key over there. And that's intentional. I mean, we don't have to do it, but it was intentional, I'm sure, because not everybody can just walk into their local hardware store and say, hey, cut me a key. You have to get the blanks from Best, and that's probably where they're charging $15 or whatever it was, just to get the blank, to get a key like that. We can drop down security level.
They cut them there, we have no blanks, we never
So-
have, but, and I don't care what we get, as long as I can get keys made here, and if I can order, or you can get the extra blanks. I'd like 50 to 100 extra blanks.
I actually spoke with Allegiant, one of the companies we are generally work with on keying and door hardware. So what she recommended, there are 3 grades for hardware. Grade 1 is for security and is usually used in jails, hospitals, and schools. 2 is offices, and then residential is 3. So she said you're going to have to stay at grade 1 for that. But for keying systems, there's open, restricted, and high security. So open, you can go and get it cut wherever you want. Restricted, you can only go to some pre-approved key makers or locksmiths. And high security is even more strict. Like you can only go back to the company or something.
And that's what you currently have.
So,
So if you want to stay to high security, we can do that, but we can also require the contractor as part of his bid to include a certain number of spares, if you would like that.
Now, this is just keys to get into the building. This isn't for this.
Correct. So
Because
if
most of
you-
it will be key fob on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
card access. Yeah, so we're only talking like the main entry door,
Lobby.
and then, the lobby area, and then maybe get back, there'll probably be card access, but there's always going to be a manual key override in case the card access fails. So I can go back into the corridor to the right, goes back to the break room, the office area, for example. So you want to stay with high security, but require the contractor to include a certain number of spare keys of each key type, we can do that.
You mean already cut keys?
Already cut. So for example, we will have what we refer to as a keying meeting after the project is started, you've already awarded contracts. And as contractors are starting to forward their shop drawing submittals to us to review to make sure that what they're proposing to order, make sure that it complies with contract documents and what you paid for. There will be a time where we sit down and we have what's called a keying meeting. And quite frankly, they're probably some of the most tedious meetings. But our hardware consultant will come in and we'll sit down, and they try to make it as simple as they can. But they'll walk around and we'll say, for example, we would propose that this key operate this door, and that door, and that door. So this is one key type. And for that door, and that door, we propose this key type. And I would say for something this small, because we're only talking about a handful of locks, commercial locks, and you're probably going to have 2 or 3, and that's even considering a Grand Master, which will get you in anywhere. You're probably talking about 3 or 4 different key types at most. So what I'm saying is we can write into the specifications the contractors to include as part of his bid hey, I want 20 extra keys of this, I want 20 extra keys of this, and I want 20 extra keys of this. So that he will order those and turn those over at the end of the project, so you all have them.
And can they be keyed like what I have now is I have a master key.
The key
My
will-
key will
Yep.
open anything over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's part of the key meeting, exactly. Yeah, we'll sit down and, which, we'd have a master or a grand master regardless. That's what Michelle's talking about.
Scott,
Yeah.
if we can get the blanks, why can't we just cut our own keys?
Well, because, the keys are stamped that, I forget what they actually say. Are your keys stamped to say, do not duplicate under penalty of law or something like that?
I don't know if that applies to us or not, but I can,
Oh, I guess I own my apartment complex.
There you go.
I can pick up a key grinder pretty cheap for probably no more than what it would cost. See, that's no big deal to have those keys ground. I'm having keys made all the time.
You know, a local source that'll do it, when he sees a key like that, then, yeah, more power to you. I would do the
Our
same.
local source would if he had the blanks.
Yeah, well,
That's a problem.
it's aggravating to get gouged over something that simple. There's no reason for it.
Will the entry door have a key fob, like the main door, the lobby door? Like if his staff or my staff's coming in, that will it be key fob?
Can you go to the floor plan?
Yes.
So, basic rule of thumb, your primary access doors, we like to put card access to where you can fob through without pulling out a key. Fob in, never fob out. Except for maybe the front. But in a correctional security, can you zoom out so you can see the whole floor?
Sure.
But that takes, you can allow a correctional officer to fob in, they're just moving into the secure perimeter. There's really no security risk, but it takes a lot of the work off of somebody at master control. They're the GUI, popping doors, because they can just card themselves all the way in. What you want to be careful of, and what we don't want, is if a correctional officer were to get overtaken and get their credentials, be able to card themselves out. And we never do card access out. But yes, Michelle. And we actually have the security electronics drawings that have all of the devices shown for the card access. But this area right here, there'd be card access. You don't have to pull out the keys all the time. So what I'm hearing, so we can move off of the keys discussion, is we need high security, but we'll get blanks. You have a local source that can cut them. Make sense? And we will have a keying meeting. If we have to determine a key, how do you want each key cut right now? We can do that later. All right. Last thing that was on our agenda, and I'm willing to go through and do a page turn, or I could just spend just a couple of minutes and show you how this package is put together. I don't know that people have the stomach to go through all this. But these are what we refer to as cut sheets. So these are products and materials that you will specify in the project manual. So there's going to be a big bound document of 8.5 by 11s that will accompany our drawings that the contractors have to abide by when we submit the bid. So these are products and materials that we would specify. We broke it down by these little divider sheets, so you can see the first one here is the staff break room cut sheets. So for example, if you begin to thumb through those, you'll see where we have a base cabinet indicated there, so there's a door and a drawer at the top. And if you turn to the next page, you'll see a sink base. So this is where, just like you all have, I'm sure, in your kitchens, you just have a typical sink base. It's plastic laminate in this color that we presented, for example, this dark wood laminate. And again, we have another base there. We have overhead cabinets indicated there. And then when you get past the casework, you'll see something that looks like this. So this is standard commercial toilet accessories. So this is the towel dispenser that we would suggest. And we can actually do a towel dispenser with an integral wastebasket. You've probably seen them. We could do either, or we do this and you just have a loose wastebasket there in the ground. I don't know if is there a preference one way or the other?
You know, what they want.
I'd say the staff break room probably just have the dispenser.
Yeah. So, Michelle, we were walking through these cut sheets here. The first grouping that we came to was the staff break room. So, do a towel dispenser, something like that, at the sink. And then just a standard soap dispenser, that location. And that's primarily it for the staff break room. And then you get to the control room cut sheets. So in the control room, this is the paper pass, what we refer to as a paper pass. I don't know if there's a preference between just the standard or that has a little tray, a little push tray.
Standard.
Standard? Okay. So what we can provide is a standard paper pass from the countertop. We typically, even though I got on my soapbox, I talked about this equipment, if you took the building and shook it, a chair would obviously fall out. But in the control room, we typically specify heavy-duty chairs that have the adjustable arms because correctional officers oftentimes wear their tool belt. For a lot of accessories. So, and that's typically why we specify a heavy-duty chair. That's the only chair that we would typically provide in any jail or correctional.
Are the chairs and stuff in the bid? Okay, but this is just what you suggest.
Well, that particular chair is. That's the only one that's in the control room.
Okay.
And it's because it's a heavy duty, because it's, honestly, I don't want you to go down to Staples and buy one for $150 and it lasts for 10 months.
We've already been through that in our 911 dispatch center because that furniture gets 24/7 use. We had to buy some really heavy-duty furniture and expensive stuff, but at least it lasts because we were going through chairs like, you know, they just did. Standard stuff just doesn't last.
You're right.
Yeah.
And then you'll see a cut sheet. We're starting into the work release cut sheets. And you will see this is just a standard Norris Ironman bunk, steel bunk. And then you turn the page after that. Michelle, for the work release, do we need to provide storage boxes?
Yes, ours currently, they're mounted to the bottom bunk,
Yeah.
and they've got a hole in it, looks like this one does too, so you can put a padlock on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
There's
two
actually,
options.
we included cut sheets for two different options, so we know which one you want. So this is called the Citadel, see right there? And this is the tank box. We can do either. You can see they both have the holes. for
This
the-
one's a little bit bigger.
A little deeper.
What would be the price difference?
I think that was probably gonna be more expensive than the Citadel. Do you have a preference, or we can call and get the price, and they say one's significantly cheaper?
If one's significantly cheaper, I say we go with the cheaper one.
Okay. Start making note, we'll call real-time detention and get a cost.
The bigger one would be nice, but because they're commissary, they can lock. But they're gonna have the big locker, so the smaller one would be fine to go get. We know it's cheaper, because they're gonna have a full-size locker back there that they can put commissary in.
So, if you turn the page, you'll see kind of an orange chair like this. Now, this is another exception to my loose equipment soapbox. Because this is a detention chair, we would include that in the scope. So, we have that in the work release day room area around the tables. as opposed to fixed seating. Makes
Got
sense?
fixed seating now, I just assume have fixed seating,
Want
so they're
fixed
not
seating?
dragging chairs into their
Okay.
bunk area.
Okay, so hold that thought, because when we get to another cut sheet here, I think we have in here what you're gonna want, which is Norix.
Right.
Max Master.
Norix did the current facility.
Yeah. All right, so, then we also have the table here, which is the leg style, but it's no longer applicable if we're gonna go with the fixed seating, so let's skip over that one. And then we have just a standard mirror, cut sheets. We have the breakaway shower curtains that are typical in a correctional work release environment that are on the Velcro tabs. And again, for a work release, as it's functioning as a work release, we would propose a standard commercial soap dispenser, towel dispensers, and again, we could either do just a standard commercial like we're doing in the staff break room, or with a separate wastebasket, or we could do the towel receptacle with a integral waste receptacle. Michelle, do you know if you have a preference for the work release area? We can do just a standard towel,
That's fine,
and then you'll just provide a separate wastebasket.
that's what we do now.
Okay. Honestly, I prefer those because there's less to break. It's just a towel receptacle and a wastebaskets are cheap to replace. We have just standard grab bars in the work release side, not the anti-ligature. And then we have, for ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, it's a federal law code. We have to provide accommodations for Americans with disabilities. So in the shower areas, you can see there's a cut sheet that looks like this. This is a seat that you can fold up so it's flush in the wall. Whenever DLZ specifies these, we always specify where we tell the manufacturer to add a locking hasp so that you could lock them in a closed position. Because if not, you leave them down, people don't tear them up. Or we can build a permanent seat out of stainless steel. We've done that before, where it's just always down, it's just part of the construction. Or we can not do anything, but if you have the requirement for ADA, you have to provide a stool. A little plastic stool, seat of some type for somebody to sit on. So we can do any of those.
What do you have now? Do you,
It's just a built-in permanent.
We could do that.
I don't have a preference to what goes in there. I know we'll have to have it.
yeah.
Normally, someone's not going to be on work release that is in a wheelchair bound. It could always happen, I guess, but the norm is that it's not going to happen. But occasionally, you might get someone in on crutches or something that's got an injury, haven't been injured at work. It probably would be better if they had something to sit on. As far as work release, I have no problem putting like the shower stool, the medical shower stools in there. But then you got to think, if you ever do use it for overflow for jail, I'm not sure I'd want the jail inmates having a chair with metal legs.
Yeah.
So it would either need to be this or something built in for that dual purpose.
Yeah. So the ADA shower, it's going to have the required grab bars and the dual height shower heads that you have to meet code. So it's really only the bench that we're talking about. It could be there. I personally, I don't like the operable, the folding, because it's just something to break. You always have to keep track of the key because you're going to want to keep it locked in the vertical position. So we can either do a permanently built-in or not do anything, and if and when the situation arises, you can provide a little bit of stool.
Personally, built-in's fine, but I see that the I think that a lot of the girls will use that one so they can sit down to shave their legs.
Sure. So,
Probably just built up one that's built in.
okay. You take a note of that.
Yep.
Okay.
Shower seat.
All right. And then these are standard row hooks. Correctional environment. Then we typically provide one with a shelf as well. If we set their personal belonging on, they can do that. These are the lockers. The shelves you asked about. We put a red box around the one that is applicable, so you can see it's the full height. It's the 12 by 18. More pictures of the same locker. And then base cabinets, so just like the staff break room where we showed the plastic laminate base cabinets, you can see there's 2 or 3 pages in here where we provide the same base cabinet configuration as well as a wall cabinet. And then that is it for the work rooms. The jail dorm cut sheets, a lot of it's going to be repetitive. So, Michelle, this is where I asked you for the pen and your thought regarding the table. I believe this Max Master table, that's what you would prefer to have with built-in seats in the workrooms. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then my next question is, do you want game tops? Both of you, on the jail side and the workplace side. Game tops are more expensive. Do you use them?
We have one that has the game top on it, and I can't say that I've ever seen them use it.
And we got one also, and they've never used it.
Okay. No game tops.
These mounted to the floor.
Yes.
Are they all round, or are some of them rectangular and look like a picnic table?
We're just doing round in ours.
Okay, if you turn the page, Michelle, you'll see over on the right-hand side that there is a rectangular option, like a picnic, with individual seat.
Is it a wooden top or is it stainless steel?
So we can do either. We can either do stainless steel, or we can do what they refer to as the slammer top, which is the high-pressure laminate with the edge banding around it. Stainless.
Stainless steel.
Same for the seat.
Yep.
Okay. Michelle's a rectangle picnic style table preferred over round.
We have both, but I see them most of the time sitting at the picnic, the rectangle, the picnic type.
When we go over, can we look at one of those?
You sure can.
All right, thank you. And again, we just have the Norix Iron Man steel bug. Tote boxes for the jail, yes or no? Okay, no tote boxes for the jail. And then just a standard polished stainless steel mirrors that I'm sure you're familiar with. And again, the anti-ligature shower curtains with Velcro breakaway tabs. Then you'll see the Norix grab bars that are anti-ligature. Now you get to have the fun discussion on shower seats on the jail side. Again, the options are the same.
We don't currently have them, so I don't see a need for them, to be honest. If we have somebody in a wheelchair, we make accommodations, so.
Okay, only bringing this up, and Michelle, I think made a good point, because this is email, I'm just asking, is it worthy of providing a permanent built-in so that they can sit down and shave their legs? I don't know. You're like me.
Never shave my legs, so I'm not sure.
Another question. Did we discuss sanitary napkins disposal?
I don't think have we gotten there? Did I skip it?
Should have been work release, but
Okay, let's answer this question first. We'll come back.
We don't currently provide it, I don't know.
Another female perspective, what do you,
Well, I guess it's a good idea probably to have one. Everybody might be fighting over it though. They all want to be in that one stall. Only thing I think, it's too bad they can't all have them. I know that's not going to be cost efficient. So, and they are allowed to shave their legs, right, in the jail and have razors? Okay, because I didn't even know about that part. So it's just completely up to you, I think.
They're making do right now
Without,
without it, so maybe maybe in one of the showers. Maybe in one of the showers, it's not a bad idea. That way, if we do have somebody that needs it, they'll have it. But
Is there gonna be one ADA shower in each cell block?
yes.
What
Okay.
about one in that particular,
there's one in each cell block. The shower
an
is
ADA?
so all three of these.
Off the bat, because there's only one, we're providing the ADA. Now, I don't remember the exact ratio that you're required to have for ADA.
You have to, 3% of your total rated bed capacity. You have to provide ADA accommodations for 3%. So typically, as a matter of design practice at DLZ, we typically always provide a ADA accommodation in every housing pod. We do that so that you're not limited to where you can, how you classify and where you house inmates. You can house them anywhere if you have the need.
I would think wherever we had the ADA shower with the 2-level shower heads, that you should provide someplace for them to sit if they need to shower.
You gotta say each of these showers are.
Yes.
So that each one.
But are we only required to have one in the facility?
3% of your total rated bed capacity. So depending on, I think we'd have to design it for the worst case scenario in the event you took all of the alternates that maximize your bed count, which, what we said, was 62.
Yes.
3% of 62.
Looking at it right now. 1.86.
Yeah, I'd
So,
have
two.
to.
So if we just
One,
did
so
two.
you'll have to have one for, in the work release and then one in, at a minimum.
I could see
Yes.
putting one in the work release and then one in this one up here. That's not got as many beds, because that's probably where we would put anybody that had some issues.
Okay. So, whichever one you pointed to, if you would.
Yeah. One that has 10 beds. Top right.
You didn't notice the cut sheets when we get those done, did you? And again, we then have more standard rope hooks, rope hook and shelf. And Bill, you asked regarding sanitary napkin disposal. Should we provide sanitary napkin disposal in the staff restroom, off the break room? And the next question is, should we provide the same for the public / participant toilet room off the lobby? And then the female work release.
I'd say you have to, because they don't care. I know from the restrooms that are public at the jail, they don't care what they do to that restroom. And if they need to dispose of one, they'll flush it if they have to.
Equally in the jail side. We typically don't accommodate, on the jail side, the true jail, but work release is different. So we can accommodate on the work release side, staff break room, and the public / participant toilet off the lobby.
Does that, so ADA in that one spot you mentioned, what about in the holding cell / possible padded cell? Would we, ADA or no?
I would say no, because we've already met our
Okay.
minimum
I
3%.
just want to be clear.
Okay, so we're accommodating sanitary napkin disposal in 3 locations.
Okay.
Got those?
It was work release, Work release toilet and
Staff break room,
staff break room. Okay.
the staff toilet by the staff break room,
Okay.
and the public toilet off of the lobby.
And then the work release as well. Is that what I was hearing? Work release, staff toilet, work release toilet, or the work release tested toilet?
Public toilet off of the lobby,
Okay.
participant toilet off the lobby. And then we move into the jail, the cell cut sheets. So we have the Max Master fixed table that we talked about. Do you prefer, then we put two options in here, and I call it the thimble. I don't know if you've seen those yet, but it's a Norix seat, it gets anchored to the floor. To me, it looks like an upside down thimble. We could do that, or if you turn the page, that's another stool option. And again, these are inside of the cell areas, the holding cell.
They're inside the holding cells?
Yeah. So
The cell block, they are,
There's a table with the chairs attached to the cell blocks.
so you have the table with the chair, with the chairs there. But in their actual cells, they have a desk with seating.
So these brown,
Why?
this is the desk.
Is that something that we have to have?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
That's good.
You've never been written up for it.
Not yet.
Yeah, you have to provide a writing surface and a place where to sit.
That's the table in favor.
Yeah, I hear you, but it doesn't count.
You have to have two of them for a
Yes.
double occupancy cell?
Yes.
Really?
And you'll see there's a little circle here because this is the ADA. You have to provide a place for them to wheel up in a wheelchair.
What's the price difference
That's
between
what I
the
was
two?
just getting ready to say.
That's why.
What's the price difference? Because this one would be nice because they can't hide stuff under it, but depends on the price, I guess.
Do you have a preference depending on price?
The preference would
The
be
thimble?
The thimble, yeah.
Okay. We will call and see if there's a significant I don't think there is, to be honest with you. We'll call and find out the preference for the thimble. And again, just continuing, you have the Iron Man, Buck, and we're talking about the cells, the holding cells now, so a lot of this is repetitive. But no property storage boxes. Then we'll have the polished stainless steel mirrors in there as well, both standard, and then the elongated for the ADA holding cell. Have the grab bars, anti-ligature. And then there's the stainless steel wall-mounted desk that the stool would pull up to. What you see there.
But the stools are gonna be mounted to the floor.
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So they can't move them.
Right. And then you see the rope hooks there. And again, rope hook with shelf. And then we're off to the staff toilet cut sheets. So there you can see just a standard coat hook, bumper, and door. And this is where, this is a good example of just a standard towel receptacle with no integral waste. Or if you turn the page, you will see paper towel, waste combo we've all seen. And again, my personal preference is just a separate little waste basket, unless, if that's okay. And we're just talking about the staff break room, the staff break room. Or we could do a hand dryer in the staff room. I personally don't like hand dryer. Okay, so we'll use the toilet tissue dispenser, something like this, okay? Or do you guys have an agreement with somebody to provide countywide paper product?
This is what we have currently.
Okay. If that's fine, there's nothing to say. For the toilet tissue. And again, this is, we're just talking about staff. Standard soap dispenser.
Clean.
Here's the sanitary napkin disposal, which we've already identified the 3 locations. can provide those, and this was one of the locations. And then we have miscellaneous cut sheets. So we have 2 locations for pistol lockers. Can you do it floor plan real
Yep.
quick? So, those of us that don't work in a jail facility every day, when a correctional officer or a deputy, a road deputy, sheriff, when they are moving into, or when they cross that secure perimeter, there's no firearm on. They commonly have it when they get out of the patrol car, for example. So they need a place to lock it up before they go into the secure perimeter. So we have a location. This is the main entry vestibule. This is the lobby. We have a pistol locker right here, because that's the door that would go into the secure perimeter. And we have one at the back door,
Okay.
in the interlock.
Inside the interlock?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right there.
And the first one was just in the lobby, it's not in the interlock, it's in the lobby?
We have it in the lobby.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so that's that cut sheet.
That's it.
And that's it. We already talked about the floor station. And believe it or not, I believe that takes care of everything that was on our agenda.
We've got 20 minutes to spare.
Any questions, comments? Sorry, I know these meetings get lengthy, but they're necessary.
Is there cleanouts for the toilet pipe septic system?
Yes, so, if you go to a chase, can you go to the, I'm gonna show you 2 kind of typical conditions. Start, if you go to, I don't know, let's go right here for example. So this is just a typical chase, it's, about that wide. And that's an access panel, right there in the wall. So that if you had to get to the backside of a plumbing fixture, there's an access panel where you can do that. Anywhere there's an inmate toilet on the sanitary side, it's what we call a clean out with a clean out pin. What that is, if you were to walk back there or look at it, there's a little plastic nut, caps the top. There's a little threaded stainless steel pin. It's about that long. And it's adjustable because it's threaded and nutted at the top. So you can adjust the height of that pin vertically. It sticks down inside the sanitary pipe, so it's kind of like that, inside the pipe. So if somebody tries to flush something, intentionally trying to flood the area, it gets stuck on that pin. And then you just simply unscrew it from the backside, pull it up, and you pull it out through that sanitary pipe. Now the other condition, you go up to the holding cell alternate off the mechanical room.
Yes.
So this is the same concept, the chase is a little different. So this is the alternate with the holding cell, there's that mechanical room up here. So we actually intentionally just left the wall out because it's in the mechanical room. So when you're in that mechanical, you'll see the backside of these plumbing fixtures, but the concept is still the same. You'll see the clean out pin there where you can unscrew it and pull something out. That answers your question. Any other thoughts? If you think of something, please let us know. I appreciate it. Maybe you can funnel questions, comments through Dale, and we'll do the same. Go over and look at your space real quick. And again, just kind of recap, internally, we have pencils down on April the 8th. We go into what we refer to as our QC phase. And that's where we all review everybody's drawings and specs and make sure that we're all coordinated and it's a quality set of documents. We're just waiting until we receive the survey. Once we receive the survey, our civil group then can finish their drawings. Then we'll coordinate and make sure you all are aware that we're requesting to be on the Board of Public Works agenda regarding vacating that alley. And then we'll quickly wrap up. We'll formally request your approval to go out to bid, and we'll go out on the street and receive bids.
Make it sound real simple.
There's a lot of steps, but been through it several times. Now, I will tell you, I will need to forward some documents to the county attorney. But I'm going to, Dale, if it's okay, I'll forward them through you to the county attorney. There's two documents in particular that I'm going to ask for him to review and comment and approve. One is what we refer to as the notice to bidders. The notice to bidders gets a document that we draw, that we type, and it goes into the project manual. But the information that's in that notice to bidders is also what gets published to meet the Indiana State bidding law requirement for the advertisement. So all drafted is what I think to be correct, pending any changes he may have. And then the second thing is what we refer to as the supplementary conditions. And again, it's part of the front end documents, but I'm going to ask for him to review Article 11. Personally, it's a real bore, but it's insurance requirements. It's insurance requirements to protect us, protect you as the county, that he should also review that from a legal standpoint. So I'll forward that probably in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Any second thoughts from you two today? You come up with anything, be sure and let us know. But, you know, sleep on all this, and because if you're like me, I'll think of something tomorrow that I'm not thinking of today. Any more questions or anything from you two?
Thank you.
Well, Scott, I think we've covered it for today. All right. Well, before we adjourn, I'll say again, Mr. William Stark and Mr. Scott Carnegie, thank you both very much for coming down today and going through this with us. And we will see you the next time, I guess.
Yeah, you will.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There being no other business,
Thanks, Lori.
See you later.
there being no other business on the agenda for today, would you like to adjourn?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Dale, second by Tracy to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.